18 days. That is how long the war lasted. 18 days. And by the end of it, an entire generation of warriors was dead. Kingdoms had fallen. Families had been destroyed. And a civilization would never be the same again. If it happened at all.
The Mahabharata is one of the longest poems ever written. 100,000 verses, 15 times longer than the Bible. It tells the story of two families, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, who fought each other for the throne of a kingdom called Hastinapura. The war was fought on a field called Kurukshetra, in what is now the modern state of Haryana. And for most of Indian history, nobody questioned whether it happened. It was simply accepted as fact, sacred history, divine truth. But then modern archaeology arrived, and the question became impossible to ignore. Did this actually happen?
Let's start with what the Mahabharata itself tells us. The war was fought between two branches of the same family. On one side, the 5 Pandava brothers, Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva, rightful heirs to the Kuru throne. On the other side, the 100 Kaurava brothers, led by Duryodhana, who had stolen that throne through a rigged dice game. The Pandavas spent 13 years in exile. They returned to claim what was theirs. Duryodhana refused to give back even 5 villages. And so, war. The armies that assembled at Kurukshetra were enormous. The text mentions 18 akshauhinis, a unit of ancient military force. Each akshauhini contains 21,870 chariots, 21,870 elephants, 65,610 cavalry, and 109,350 infantry. Do the math, and you are looking at a combined force of over 3.9 million warriors. For context, the Battle of the Somme in World War I involved 3 million soldiers on both sides. If the Mahabharata numbers are even partially accurate, this was one of the largest military engagements in human history.
Before the first arrow was fired, something happened that would become one of the most important philosophical texts in human history. Arjuna, the greatest archer in the world, the finest warrior on the Pandava side, looked across the battlefield and saw his cousins, his teachers, his grandfather Bhishma, and he broke. He put down his bow. He told Krishna, his charioteer, that he could not do this, that no kingdom was worth killing the people he loved. What happened next is the Bhagavad Gita. 700 verses, 18 chapters. Krishna's answer to Arjuna's question, why should I fight? It is a text that has shaped the philosophy of an entire civilization. Gandhi carried it everywhere. Oppenheimer quoted it when the first atomic bomb was tested. And it was delivered, if the Mahabharata is to be believed, on a battlefield between two armies in the minutes before the bloodiest war in ancient history began.
The war lasted 18 days. In those 18 days, the text describes battles of extraordinary scale. Bhishma, the Kaurava's greatest general, fought for 10 days before being brought down by Arjuna's arrows. He fell from his chariot onto a bed of arrows and lay there, waiting for the right moment to die. Drona, the greatest military teacher of his age, fell on day 15. On day 17, Karna, the tragic hero of the Mahabharata, perhaps the most complex character in all of Indian literature, was killed by Arjuna in a moment that was less victory
and more execution. By day 18, the Kauravas were finished. Duryodhana, the last standing, was killed by Bhima in a mace fight that was almost certainly illegal by the rules of war. But here is the number that stops you cold. When the battle was over, of the 3.9 million warriors who had assembled at Kurukshetra, only 18 were left alive. 18 survivors from 3.9 million. That is not a war. That is near-extinction.
Now, what does modern archaeology actually say? Here is where it gets genuinely fascinating. The city of Hastinapura, the capital of the Kuru kingdom, the city the Pandavas and Kauravas were fighting over, is a real place. It exists. It is located in modern Uttar Pradesh, on the banks of the Ganga, near Meerut. Archaeological excavations at Hastinapura, first conducted by B.B. Lal in the 1950s, found evidence of occupation dating back to approximately 900 BCE. The settlement shows multiple levels of habitation, including a layer of destruction followed by abandonment, that some archaeologists have tentatively connected to flooding, which matches a reference in the Mahabharata itself. At Kurukshetra, the battlefield, archaeologists have found ancient iron arrows and spearheads. Some have been dated to the period that traditional chronology assigns to the war. The painted grayware pottery found across the Kuru Panchala region, the exact geographical area where the Mahabharata is set, dates to between 1200 BCE and 600 BCE. This matches the cultural period the text describes. None of this proves the war happened, but it proves the world the Mahabharata describes was real.
Then there is the question of when. Traditional Hindu chronology places the Mahabharata War at 3102 BCE, the start of the Kali Yuga. That is 5,000 years ago. Most modern historians and archaeologists put it much later, somewhere between 1000 BCE and 800 BCE, based on the archaeological evidence from Hastinapura and the linguistic dating of the Sanskrit in the text. Some scholars go even further and suggest the core event, if there was one, may have been a much smaller conflict, a real battle between two real clans that was then amplified over centuries of retelling into the epic we have today. This is actually how most ancient epics work. The Iliad describes the Trojan War. Historians now believe there probably was a real siege of Troy, just not with gods and demigods and 1,000 ships. The Mahabharata may work the same way. A real war, real people, real stakes, expanded by 1,000 years of storytelling into something divine.
Now, remember the pattern we identified in episode 1? The Battle of 10 Kings showed us something. Unity of command defeats superior numbers. Every time. The Mahabharata War shows us something different. Something darker. When a civilization turns its unity against itself, when the most powerful warriors in the land fight each other instead of a common enemy, the destruction is total. The Kuru Panchala region, the most advanced, most militarily powerful civilization in northern India at the time, effectively destroyed itself at Kurukshetra. The text says so explicitly. After the war, there were no winners. The Pandavas won the battle and lost everything else. Yudhisthira, the righteous king, ruled a kingdom of ash. This pattern also repeats throughout Indian history. The Rajputs at Tehran in 1192, divided. The Marathas at Panipat in 1761, divided. Every major defeat in Indian history involves
Indians fighting Indians, while an external force watched and waited. The Mahabharata may have been the first time this lesson was written down. It has clearly not been the last time it was ignored.
So, did the Mahabharata War actually happen? Here is the honest answer, as of today. We know the geographical world it describes was real. We know the cities it mentions, Hastinapura, Indraprastha, Kurukshetra, were real places with real occupation. We know the cultural period it describes. The transition from the Vedic Age to the Iron Age was a period of genuine conflict and political upheaval. We know that the Mahabharata contains genuine historical memory. The names of tribes, the geography of rivers, the political structures described, these match what we know of northern India between 1000 and 600 BCE. What we cannot confirm is the scale. 3.9 million warriors, 18 survivors, gods intervening, divine weapons that could destroy armies. The war may have happened. The war almost certainly did not happen like this. But perhaps that is not the right question. The Mahabharata was not written to be a news report. It was written to ask questions that have no easy answers. About duty, about family, about what it costs to be righteous in a world that rewards the ruthless. Those questions, asked on a battlefield 3,000 years ago, are still being asked today. That is why the text survived. Not because we know it happened, because we cannot stop reading it.
Next time on Bharat Ke Yudh, Alexander the Great reaches the banks of the Indus River. He has never lost a battle. He has conquered Persia, Egypt, Central Asia. And he is about to meet an Indian king who will do something nobody has done before.